This weekend brought us some interesting times for Microsoft. It seems that the end is near, however there's a lot to go over here. They came out and made some statements, a lot of leakers made some things. Honestly, we are watching Xbox die in real time. Whether it's going to be a slow death or it's going to be a long death, that is yet to be decided, but it's over. But first, this is PlayByte, the show where I bring you the best game news in a tiny bite-sized form. But this video might not be so bite-sized because there is a large chunk of information to go over. So over the last couple days, the very first thing that happened was Microsoft announced they were raising the price of Game Pass. It was going to go up to $30 USD, $17 or just under, well, $16.49, but might as well say $17 for PC Game Pass. The prices have gone astronomically high. When I was still subscribed to Game Pass like every single year, no matter what, it was like $10 a month for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And even at that, you didn't even have to pay for just Game Pass Ultimate. You could literally go out and buy a 12-pack of Mountain Dew, you get Game Pass for a month. Go buy Oreos, you get Game Pass for a month. Lay's potato chips, Game Pass for a month. It was so easy to get Game Pass, but now they've made it very difficult. For $30 a month, that is insane. Now the argument can still be made that Game Pass is still a good deal at $360 a year because you get so many games day one, so many AAA, quote unquote AAA games. But here's the reality. In the last week, I have bought Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 for $60, and I have bought Digimon Time Stranger for $70. And you know what? Both of these two games, $130 combined, they have more fun and higher quality than anything you can find on Game Pass. Now, you may be telling yourself, but Cruz, you can get all these cool indie games on Game Pass that you couldn't otherwise. I just paid like $13 for Hades on Amazon. That is not a proper argument. One time $13 purchase and I can play it forever, or $360 a year to play it when Xbox tells me I can. You decide which is the better deal. And then that led to the next thing that happened, which was a major leaker came out and said that Xbox is done with hardware. That Xbox is going to have mass layoffs in Q1 2026. Q1 2026 is only about 3 months away, so we do have some time, well really not much time at all, to see if he was correct about that. However, the no more Xbox consoles, that came out and just shocked the world. In addition to that, Sam's Club, Costco, and everywhere else began marking down their Xboxes at extreme margins to the point that you could get an Xbox Series X for under $300, which is less money, if I might add, than the Xbox Series S costed way back when it first came out. It is less money than the Xbox One X even cost. So this has led to many people, including myself, thinking, is this the end for Xbox? And then, not just that, but then more leaks came out that Xbox lost so much money buying Call of Duty and putting it on Game Pass that is what led to this price subscription. Not just that, but we've had radio silence from Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer. I've waited until the last minute to actually see if anything was going to come about this, but I'm going to tell you right now, as I record this video, it is 7:30 a.m. Monday. What is today's date? October 6th. They have not said nothing. This has been almost 72 hours of nonsense and they've not said anything. You can make the argument that yes, it was the weekend, but these are corporate execs making billions of dollars. When the Xbox Series X or Series S, whichever it was, leaked out years and years ago, they posted a meme at 1 a.m. on Saturday referencing it. So you can't make the argument that yes, it's the weekend, that's why they've not said anything, because they've done this in the past. And then finally, not just that, but when you look across the entire board of Xbox, look at the Xbox first party games that came out in 2025. None of them have been worth playing. I mean, Tony Hawk came out and it's arguably the worst remake I have ever seen. They changed way too much stuff. That is not Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 or 4 anymore at this point. That is just a brand new game using old maps. And it wasn't even a remake, honestly, because with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, half of those maps don't even have the same design as they did back then. And plus, not open world, so what? I ended up turning the timer off because that's the only way you can really enjoy that game. And then we got the Outer Worlds coming out here in a couple weeks, but they were going to try to launch that game at $80. Everybody complained about it, so they brought the price down. Why? Because it doesn't matter if it's id Software, if it's, Obsidian or whoever else, there's not a single studio at Xbox that can make a $80 game or a $70 game, barely a $60 game. The one game they had in the pipeline that people were excited for was the Perfect Dark Zero reboot, which they ultimately canceled over non-sensual reasons, shut down the studio, laid off a ton of people. We're talking about the richest company in the world. Arguably the most important company in the galaxy if we were to have multiple studios on multiple different planets with multiple different companies. That is the, length of importance that Microsoft truly is. However, the Microsoft we're seeing this year is just nothing but it's over, we're counting down. I mean, and it's not even just the Xbox division. Right here, this is a Windows PC. But you know what sucks about Windows PC? At this point, its only use is to play video games on. Everything else for it sucks. When I'm using computers, I have two laptops. I have my M4 Max MacBook Pro, and I also have a Linux-based laptop. Why do I have those two and I use them more than this? This is only used for gaming and backdrops and videos. Why? Because it is just so far ahead of the competition. Mac OS and Linux OS is at least 2+ decades ahead of Windows. Windows is falling apart to the point that a couple years ago, buying a Windows license was like $150, $200. Now you can get them as low as 10 to 15 because nobody wants to use Windows. The only thing, and I repeat, the only thing keeping Windows OS alive is the fact that MacBook doesn't support gaming and that Mac costs so much money. But if Mac invested in the gaming division, it would be over for Windows. The same way PlayStation investing in the gaming industry basically wiped out Microsoft before they even started. And that's something that's crazy too, because look, I'm 27 years old. I'll be 28 in November. I remember a time when you didn't ask people, do you play video games? You asked them, do you play Xbox? I wasn't one of them because I was PlayStation 3 all those years ago. And now I'm doing my little victory lap because I ultimately won the console wars because I picked the right console. But all that to say, we're watching Xbox die in real time. It's just, I know I'm repeating myself a lot in this video and it's kind of all over the place, but it's just, how did we get to this point? How did the richest company in the world take what was the staple of video games and just run it into the ground? Honestly, we talk a lot about Jim Ryan and how he was so bad for PlayStation, but Jim Ryan has nothing on Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer has cannibalized Xbox to the point that it's not even worth buying anymore. I bought a Series X day one. I loved it the first year, but he made it very clear very quickly that this is not a console you want to be playing your games on. It is insane to me. When he took over, Xbox had exclusives. Even though the Xbox One was not selling that great, they were still reasons to buy the Xbox One over the PlayStation 4. And then eventually they brought in backwards compatibility, which basically sealed the deal that yes, this is our guy. But honest to God, the one thing that killed Xbox, and this, like, I'm gonna compare this in the most morbid way possible. In 2019, when Xbox put Gears of War day and date on PC, that was the first major game they ever did that with. That was the end. There was no Xbox left after that. I remember playing Gears on PC. I was so excited, but I didn't realize at the time that this was going to kill Xbox as a brand. Now when you look at today in Xbox is just anywhere. This is an Xbox. The MacBook is an Xbox if I want to download Game Pass Cloud. This TV right here is an Xbox, and it's just a cloud-based TV. My work laptop is a Xbox. My work desktop for my other job is a Xbox. My work MacBook for editing stuff for people, that is an Xbox. This camera, if I really wanted to, it could probably be an Xbox. And I'm sure somewhere out there, there is somebody who has made an app for the Apple Watch for you to play Xbox Game Pass Cloud on here. At this point, it doesn't make a difference. Xbox has lost its identity. Xbox is nothing of value. And now there's all these talks too, which I probably should have mentioned earlier in the video. There's all these talks too that Xbox is on the verge of going third party, but not the third party that we want, where it's just, hey, Microsoft is publishing this, that, and the other. No, like we're talking like they could potentially shut down its studios, sell off Doom, sell off all these places. So there is a potential reality out there where, like, let's say PlayStation owns Elder Scrolls, Nintendo owns, I don't know, Rare again. And let's say, like, I don't know, maybe Apple, oh my god, that would be insane. Maybe Apple buys Call of Duty, which, if anyone's gonna buy Call of Duty and make money off of it, it's gonna be Apple, because they're gonna make a mobile focus, they're gonna make a Mac, they're gonna make so much money off it, so many good ideas that Microsoft would never think of. But this whole consolidation of the gaming industry that Microsoft started is literally just, it's destroyed everything. That's all you can say. And then even now, which I mentioned briefly in a YouTube short, EA has been bought by the family of Donald Trump and Saudi Arabia, which, granted, that could make EA a better studio because now they're not going to have to focus on like stock margins or anything, because it's all just going to be their internal metrics for what, you know, is a good project. So that is exciting, but I mean, who's to say that they're not going to sell off a bunch of places? Who's to say that we're not going to see mass layoffs? The gaming industry right now is in a really, really bad industry. Like, the best way I can describe it right now is the gaming industry is more or less doing what happened to the music and movies industry when streaming popped up. We might have a world here soon where we only have a PlayStation and a Nintendo to choose from. And that's not to say that like some random Chinese company like Huawei or Xiaomi isn't gonna jump in and try to make a gaming box. but they're definitely not going to reach a Nintendo or a PlayStation level. There's just no room in the market for that. And it sucks because there are 1,001 ways that Xbox or somebody else could pop up and make their little niche in the market. I mean, I bring it up all the time, but Retroid with their Retroid Pockets and everything else, or Analog even, these are like big competitors for retro games that have carved, their space in the industry. Xbox needs to do one thing and one thing only, and they can make a massive comeback. Stop releasing PC games day and date, 100% just end that. Do a handheld console. Not this little Rogue LIX thing that they're doing, but an actual handheld console running an Xbox OS, no Windows. Make it dockable, make it, I don't know, as powerful as an Xbox Series S or something. The Switch has done it, you can do it. And then now you have AAA gaming and a tiny pocket-sized thing, basically. And with all these ARM architectures and the battery lives and stuff that we are up to now with the new, I forget what the technology is called. I want to say silicon, but I think I'm wrong about that. Like, there are so many avenues that they can do to save Xbox that they are not going to invest in, because it honestly kind of feels like at this point, Microsoft just wants to exit the gaming industry, but it is what it is. I'm sure by the time this video is uploaded, there's much more news coming out about all this stuff, and I'm sure by the time this week is over, we're gonna have so much information on this that it's not even gonna be funny. But with all that being said, what is your opinion on this news? Are you sad to see Xbox gone? Are you expecting this, or is this no shock to you at all? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, try not to, and I'll see you in the next video.